Hi everybody, Dr. Annie here,
Dr. Rachel,
and we are Rise Wellness Chiropractic here for another Wellness Wednesday. Today we're talking about prenatal stress and how that affects
We're
baby's
always talking
brain
about
development.
stress.
We're always talking about stress, especially prenatal stress, because that is
what we do.
what we focus on, what we're trained in. So today we just wanted to recap a lot of the last couple of weeks. We talked about Webster technique, about the importance of getting adjusted during pregnancy, and so part of that, not just for pelvic alignment and an easier labor and birth and all that stuff too, but also because
very
of stress.
structural.
Yeah. So stress is a huge factor also during development for the babies. If you Google prenatal stress and neural development, you will find hundreds of papers on this, because it is something that is actually really well researched and it's super important, but we don't talk about it enough.
So prenatal stress and the effects it has on baby.
Yes, exactly. On how their brain is developing and how
Okay.
those neural connections are being made.
Okay.
So what happens if mom's super stressed, so this can be chronic stress, this can be relationship stress, or this can be acute stress. There's been a lot of studies since 9/11, moms that were pregnant during 9/11 and how that affected birth outcomes, and then also...
Or you could just be stressed because you're a mom already and this is another baby, and you're stressed because you're a mom and you're working, and I don't know, I was super stressed when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I was having twins. I wasn't planning on it.
But what all that stress does is it affects how their brain is developing, how all of the parts of the brain are communicating together. So when baby's born, they have a harder time doing all of the autonomic activity that they should be doing. So eating, sleeping, pooping, that's what babies are supposed to do. And we were actually, so what prompted this conversation was we were on a training call with 80 other pediatric chiropractors across the US on Tuesday morning. And they were talking about the COVID pandemic and about how what they're seeing is COVID babies, basically. So babies whose moms were pregnant through the pandemic, which is pretty much all new babies right now.
So yeah, it's just
and how they have really low HRV tone and how they're coming out super stressed, basically.
Which is what we've been seeing, and I think we stated last week when we were talking about birth trauma.
Yeah, and I think we talked
talking
about it too when we went over the scans, when we looked at the HRV.
Super stressed out babies.
Yeah.
Or it's just because mom's stressed. Even if mom doesn't feel stressed, even if I have super chill mom come in here,
it's just
you have that underlying
yeah.
stress of just the unknown right now.
Exactly. It's all the background noise and stuff.
Yeah.
So what that shows up as on the HRV when we do it in an infant, it shows up as pretty sympathetic, so that fight or flight response, and then also low autonomic activity, which is eating, sleeping, pooping, like we just said.
Their body just can't do it
Yeah.
because their nervous system isn't functioning
Exactly.
properly.
So this shows up as colicky babies, stressed out babies, babies who aren't sleeping well, babies who have a lot of reflux or spitting up a lot, babies who aren't pooping. So those are the main things that we're seeing a lot right now. But we also see it change under regular chiropractic care too.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
Didn't you just see that today?
Yeah.
With that baby we just had in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
She was a pandemic baby.
Yep. Mom was, a little stressed during her pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
A little more stressed during her labor probably.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
More reflux, more, yeah.
oh yeah, she was refluxy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on her scans actually, yeah. So she was low sympathetic, and she's shifted back to center now, and then we're hoping to see it go back up, increase that autonomic activity again.
Get that baby's nervous system working properly so we don't have, digestive issues later. Is probably how that would end up in that kiddo.
Yeah.
Always constipated because then their GI tract's not functioning properly.
Yep. Yeah, so how it then shows up in kids. So if we don't take care of it when they're babies, again, it affects how their different parts of our brain are communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So this later in life can show up as ADHD, autism, behavioral cognitive disorders, sensory processing disorders, all kinds of stuff. And so that's a big factor for trying to get these things figured out early.
My biggest, I'm always like, what would the twins be like if they weren't under regular chiropractic care? I mean, they're healthy kiddos and they're like really smart and all that, but like I wonder that all the time because I was super stressed, wasn't planning the pregnancy, super stressed, twin pregnancy, nothing went the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
C-section babies, they have like a start of life against them. So
yeah, but good thing their mom's a chiropractor.
Yeah, and that you are also. Just in the beginning.
There was also a cool study that we were talking about with that other chiropractic group too. This was earthquake experiences. So again, just another example of how prenatal stress affects baby development. This is earthquake experience at different trimesters during pregnancy is associated with leukocyte telomere length and long-term health in adulthood. So that's saying that if mom was stressed going through like some sort of natural disaster during her pregnancy, because of like the hormones and all of the things that are going on in her body, it's going to affect long-term health effects in the baby when they reach adulthood. So
that's wild.
Yeah, it's super wild. Yeah. So telomere length is like a kind of long-term health outcome of just like overall like how healthy you are. But there's also they're talking about hypertension, so systolic blood pressure and body mass index and LDL lipoproteins too. So it's a lot of long-term things. So just because mom was in some sort of natural disaster, that affects baby for the rest of their life too. So I mean, think about with the pandemic and stuff and every...
Yeah, this is becoming like long-term stress now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is more than just like a, some natural disaster, but it's like long-term stress.
I think what is interesting too is like when you're pregnant, you're like thinking about, am I getting the right nutrition? Am I taking the right supplements? You're thinking about all that to make sure baby's development is proper, like,
because those are,
but you're not
things we can control.
Yeah, but no one's telling you about, okay, the stress you're under, the stress you can't even control, like situational stress, about how that's going to affect baby. So, one, yes, talk therapy is probably great, also for bringing that down. We've talked about like yoga and breathing, stimulating the vagus nerve, and then we've gone in like great detail about how chiropractic care affects your sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system and how we can like decrease that stress. We can get you out of that sympathetic fight or flight mode by being adjusted. So we see a lot of pregnant women, yes, because either they want a really great pregnancy, like out of pain, or they want a great labor delivery, but very few are walking in here because like
I've had a lot of stress.
And I want to make sure my baby's brain development.
And that's a super important conversation. So we want to have that conversation more. Like I think we're pretty good about like when moms come in with all these other issues, SPD or like hip or sciatica, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We say, okay, but this is also affecting your pregnancy.
Right.
But then we need to talk about that with babies too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So stress is huge. And I feel like we see it all the time. We say it all the time. But especially now, it's super important because we're setting our kids up for the rest of their lives, and so whatever we can do to
get rid of that mom guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Get adjusted.
Tough times.
Get your babies adjusted. Get your kiddos adjusted.
Oh my gosh, everybody get adjusted. If you have a spine, get adjusted.
Yeah.
If you have a nervous system. If you have any stress in your life, get adjusted.
Yep. I get adjusted.
Yep.
All right. So if you have questions,
contact us.
Ask them below.
Do the things.
Do the things on the social media you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
Again, if you have any topics that you want us to talk about or cover, if you have any questions, we'll cover them next week. Yeah. Or Wellness Wednesday.
Have a great week.
All right. Peace out.
See you next time.